All right. We are in seventh heaven of the Harold Katz podcast, episode 7. Glad you could join us. Oren Glickman, the Godfather, of course, needs no introduction. And we have a very special guest tonight. It's the academic liaison / assistant coach, Yoni Cohen. It's hard for me to refer to you as Coach Cohen because I met you as Yoni, but I'm going to try as hard as I can to keep it formal. Coach Cohen, such a pleasure to have you on the Harold Katz podcast tonight.
Gotta say, it's a real honor to be here with you two fine gentlemen, and the legacy of Coach Katz lives on.
It never went away.
Well, it went away for a long time, and sadly, it was not put away.
I gotta say, I want to start off by just like talking about the elephant in the room. Like,
whoa! I don't call you names, dude.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean that for you, but like first time I meet Coach Katz, we're sitting in one of the Shabbases that we have with the Max. I don't know where it is.
It was in York, Pennsylvania.
Was it York, Pennsylvania? Yeah. And I'm sitting over there, tiny little room, middle of nowhere. We have no idea what we're up against. And I sit next to Coach Katz Friday night, and he starts talking to me about high school basketball in Baltimore in the 1970s, and literally goes on for the next 3 hours quoting things that I've never heard of in my life. And then after we move on from that, it's something else. And like, I'm like, who the heck is this guy? He's got a brain that's like an encyclopedia of knowledge about basketball. From amazing stuff, just amazing stuff.
I appreciate that, Yoni. That was actually a fun weekend for me. And one of the fun parts about that weekend actually is, I've been to the NCAA tournament with teams. And when you lose, you're done. Like there's an emptiness, like there's nothing to do. We just go home. It's a long ride home.
Yeah.
Or a plane ride home, and it's brutal. We'll be a pride of it. At York, the whole bar, not having him was an issue, but we're done. And then Shabbos came.
What an amazing Shabbos.
Yeah. And within an hour, all the guys were like, yeah, sun is off. It was the best way to kind of, and so we've experienced it twice. Like we experienced it off winning, and we experienced it off losing. I would say the second time losing wasn't as good as the experience wasn't
right,
as great.
The end of an era.
Yeah, something like that. But that experience that first time was so special. Yoni, Yoni, you weren't all that involved back then, right? Or you were involved, but not
more of a behind the scenes guy.
Yeah, the York trip, I was just working at YU and just helping out here and there. Obviously, I helped arrange at Shabbos, and right. We had no idea what we were up against. That was like a whirlwind.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you kind of about, like, there's stuff that I know. Let's go back. Let's start with this. How did you first get the job? Like, you were working for Josh, right? Rabbi Joseph.
So
right?
Yeah.
How'd that start where you and Elliot become like, let me see what I could do with this guy?
So it must have been in the 2016, 15. I don't know when Elliot started, but not long after. YU made a decision that we're going to really invest in the athletics program and all sports, really, in the basketball team. And they brought in Elliot to really dream big with the program. And, aforementioned Josh Joseph, who's one of my mentors, and really invested a tremendous amount of time and effort into building the program, and nothing is accomplished today without his support back then. Brought in Elliot and got me involved a little bit, and talking to Elliot here and there. I knew Elliot from growing up. We were around the same age. Used to kick his tuchus in basketball in high school. It was amazing. Anyway.
A lot of guys talk like that. They end up working for somebody else.
That's true. We end up working for it, right? No, but bottom line is, Elliot comes in, dreams big, talks about winning the Skyline conference, talk about going into the NCAA tournament. People are laughing at him, like, "What are you talking about? Why don't you just go get a winning season first, then we'll talk about like things like that."
Well, some of us weren't laughing at him.
Yeah, some not. I mean, obviously not. But
I have the quote. Coach, I'm an eyewitness for you. Remember that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Oren. You can step in and make that point. I don't mind you fanning on the back.
Yeah, it was weird times. Like we didn't know what the potential was. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of Jewish kids from around the country trying to play ball on a high level, Elliot wants to recruit some guys to come into YU, and I'm like working with Josh, and Josh is in charge of a lot of departments at YU, and one of the department's admissions. And Elliot's like, do you mind helping me out of just like getting the process going for these guys, making sure they apply online, do all the things that they need to do so we can get them into the system. And I start doing that a little bit here and there. And, I'm talking to some guys, I'm talking to their parents and getting more knowledgeable with the process and making sure that, things are done in the right way. I show up to practice here and there once in a while to see how the guys are doing, and it's improving. And then, you get that big year with Donnie and Sim, coming off the heels of Benji Realholtz's, magical career. And then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, we have a couple of pieces here that you get, one or two other pieces, we could maybe do something.
Yeah.
And then so you give a coach who is a dreamer and a really good dreamer the support that he needs and the tools that he needs.
You got to get him players who are dreamers too.
Yeah, and you get that, and suddenly you have something great. And that year that we won the Skyline for the first time, we came out of nowhere, the Cinderella team. When we go into purchase and the Hoad brothers go, 9 for 9 from the field with like 6 threes,
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think you got to get. I think to do that, you got to get guys who believe in what you're doing and have the same. What's the word? Relentlessness. Like a lot of guys talk about it, but they're not in the gym at 12:30 at night getting shots up. And I remember Donnie and Sim used to room together, and I got about 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a text from Elliot. I think it was in October of their freshman year. And I think maybe Morty Weiss took a picture of Donnie and Sim alone in the gym just shooting a basketball or a video when nobody's there. You understand? Like there's nobody around. I always tell kids, and I've said this on this podcast, it's what you do when the lights are off that defines what you're going to be and who you're going to be when the lights are on. And so you're right. You have coaches can't do it alone. They need assistants like you to do the lifting. That people don't understand how much is involved in running a basketball program. Scouting alone, I just tell you, from scouting alone, especially in our situation where we have that long break in January, games come one after another, and some of these teams you're only playing once. So you got to go 3 games in advance, and sometimes you just fall behind because you're so busy about this contender, you forget about this other one, and then now you're fighting. You play Saturday night, you got to play Tuesday, but you didn't take care of Tuesdays yet, and it's Monday afternoon, and you got to get a scouting report out, and then you're playing again Thursday night. You got to start working on Sunday for third. People don't get it. That's just preparation for opponent, not classroom, grades, financial aid, getting them into school. So sorry I interrupted you, but that's
you're hitting on a lot of points that I think are crucial to the transition from high school to college is a massive one in every way. I'm not even talking about
in a regular college. Not even a dual curriculum.
Forget YU with its curriculum. I mean, the price tag also and everything that goes with it. You're talking. I'm not even talking about the basketball. Forget the basketball for a second and the level of competition, even in D3, how much higher it is than what these guys are used to. But to go from whatever you did in senior year in high school, maybe you went to Israel for a year or two, maybe not. I mean, that's a very light course load. You're coming to YU, you have a full morning of Jewish studies, then you have a small break, then you have afternoon studies, regular general studies, whatever you're majoring in. You want to do some clubs here and there, and then you have basketball practice 3-4 days a week. Some 6:15 in the morning, some at night at 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night, depending on what. I mean, that's a grueling schedule. And this year, and I see it every year around this time, or maybe a little before this, like in the beginning of February, end of January. Like you see the guys are a little sluggish, they're that step may not be as quick as it was a month before, but then suddenly you get this burst of energy once the Skyline playoffs happen, and then like you kick into another gear because like the adrenaline starts pumping in. But it takes guys a good half a year to a year to really adjust to like this new world that they're in.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then when you try to play in the system that we're running, that everybody thinks they understand, which most, and I will say this again, most have no idea, even though they think they know because they hear ball reversal or they hear no ball screen, which is, by the way, just if you say it, you don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
And no dribble. People have no clue what we're doing, and the learning curve on that. I remember Simcha when he was, I think Pop did a interview with him and Donnie at the end of their last home game, I think, before the playoffs, and they asked Simcha, and he said our learning curve is very steep with what we run.
Yeah,
very steep. But once you get it, like we help guys get through it. But once you get it, it's just playing basketball. And he's right. And the crazy thing is, because of our success, all our fans seem to think like they have a handle on what we're trying to do. And I'm talking about guys who quote unquote are coaches.
Yeah.
And they just, everybody wants to talk to me about it. I'm just saying, if that's what you think, we're talking. I'm talking basketball. You're talking about. Want to finish my sentence here, Oren? You're talking about the migration patterns in 1781 Pelicans of Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? Like we're just talking about we're having two different conversations.
Right.
Yoni, you know this because of how much time we spent together talking about it. But I mean, as somebody on the inside, do you disagree with what I say that most people
not at all. Elliot always says, I can give you our whole playbook. It doesn't really matter. You're not gonna get it as much as our guys do. We could run it and you still won't get it.
I invite guys to practice.
Yeah, it's complicated. We'll invite anyone to come see our practices. It's complicated. I don't remember any player short of Gabe Leifer, who was the only one who was a plug and play. Yeah. But everybody else, including Ryan, including Ofek, including everybody else, it takes a little time.
Ryan told me it took him at least a year. I don't think Ofek, I'll be honest, I don't think Ofek ever really got it. Just watch a film. He got what we asked him to do. Like, we knew he was going to struggle, so we just told him, hey, you just cut.
Yeah.
We'll get that guy to get you the ball. And Gabriel, we just put him in the post, told him when you see somebody go get a screen, he had guys like Donnie walking him through, like him and Sim walking him through every day. And then they had to get Ryan the next year and walk him through.
Yeah.
Tried with Eitan, and I think Eitan got it after a bit.
Yeah, these guys have good basketball IQ, they get it. But once it works, holy cow. I mean, you look back at the NCAA tournament in Baltimore when we were in Johns Hopkins that year. I mean, it was a machine. It was
on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, but that leads me to I think Oren, we were discussing this earlier. That leads me to, it's like a philosophy thing, right? Oren, what was that? Why do I'll get a little deeper here before we'll get back to this thing, Yoni, but why do we choose what we're running as opposed to what the entire NBA or Division I is running? And some of the things really come down to, what are we good at as players? What is our skill set good at? And what is the rest of the world good at? Like we have a limited, the Jewish athlete of the Ryan Terrell, Tamir Goodman kind of Jewish athlete, they just don't come around. There's just not a lot of them. So when you have them and you put them in a system with other guys, the idea is to accentuate the positives of every player. Like I tell all my players, do what you can do, not what you can't. We'll work on the can't until they become a can. But in the meantime, just do what you can do. I'm not asking you to do anything different than play to your strengths. And we'll play away from your weakness. And this goes to something we were talking about Yoni, about Jewish players. We were talking about, you had something about that, and I think this is really the ticket, to be honest. Whether you're coming to YU or whether you're not coming to YU, because it's not. This is a basketball theory podcast more than it is a yeshiva university. Just happens to be that we're involved in that program, but the theory, the basketball ideas here are universal, I think, and to specific to our situation, but it applies to any Jewish kid who is interested in playing college basketball. And you had a point you wanted to make about that, and this is coming, people should know, from an insider's view.
Yeah, no, I see the landscape of recruiting. For us at YU, the meat and potatoes of the system comes from the yeshiva day schools across the country. We get a lot of the, sometimes we'll get a couple Israeli players here and there, maybe a kid who went to public school and now is interested in rediscovering his Judaism. That's all fine and good. But you look back, especially in the last, since Elliott's era started, it all comes from the yeshiva day school system, not just yeshiva league here in the tri-state area, but across the country. And again, if I could speak to every kid who's playing ball right now on the high school level, if you want to make it to this level of basketball, any D1, D2, D3, doesn't matter. You need to literally dedicate your life to the gym, obviously daven and eat, and do all that stuff. But you have to be, when your friends are going out Motzei Shabbos for pizza, you got to hit the gym. When your friends are going to see a movie with that, you got to hit the gym. You got to put shots up. You got to work on your body. You got to work on whatever game you are going to be best at. I love what Coach said before about do what you can, not you can't. And just work at it and do not let anybody work harder than you. I cannot tell you how many guys we've had that we've looked at whose talent is off the charts. But when it comes to like their work ethic and their dedication to the game, it just wasn't there and they just couldn't make it. And I can't tell you how many guys who maybe were not the most talented guys in the world, but gave the time to it. They're playing minutes. They're playing real minutes.
You can make the argument. This is a fair argument. And Ryan Terrell notwithstanding now, you can make the argument. The talent of the guys who didn't work hard was just as good as the talent of like everybody, including Gabriel, of guys who did make it. In other words, Gabriel's just a Nordic freak as I see it. Like he's just, I'm not going to do any work. He's just a stud. Okay. Yeah. But everybody else, like there wasn't anything great about Simcha. He doesn't have, and Simcha Halpert doesn't have
there's nobody who worked harder than Simcha Halpert ever.
He just got in the gym. And he led the conference in scoring, was leading the conference in scoring with Ryan. Yeah. He gave of himself to win. He was an all-conference first-team player.
Yep.
Rookie of the year. I mean, name it. He didn't have it. There was no special skill. It wasn't like he was a good defender when he came in. He worked hard at that. But he just was in the gym all the time. I know because my son was there with it. Like that's all they got in the gym. And Donnie has, like everybody's going to talk. It's what I told him when he was a kid. Everybody's going to run their mouth.
Yeah.
And the only way you shut them up is just shut up and play. When we talk, when you want to sleep in on Sunday morning, and there's you're in high school and there's a college run you could get into with college guys and pro guys at 7 a.m. in a college that's a private run that you have access to. If you don't go there, you're never gonna play in college.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else. I was just I can tell right away when I see kids walk in the gym, which kid's got a future in basketball and which one doesn't. Oren, can you guess where I'm going with this?
Yeah, kind of, but I like to hear more first.
Way to play it safe, bro. Okay. The kid who goes to the 3-point line as soon as he walks in the gym has no career. in college basketball. None. Because the kid who goes to the rim and does what the greatest shooter of all time in the world does, which is form shoot for 5-10 minutes before you even get to the free throw line or mid post, that guy has the work ethic. You could tell as soon as they walk in the gym. He has the work ethic to get to the 3-point line, which means he has the work ethic to put the time in it's going to take to improve on his ball handle, to improve on his defense, to be, you name it. A kid who walks in the gym, 16 years old, and the first thing he does is jack a three. I almost will never watch, if I'm recruiting, I would never watch that kid. Because I know I'm gonna have to fight to get him in the gym. Because all he's gonna want to do is just start jacking shots. But I, I'm kind of like, you watch that kid who goes around the rim, even if he's front of the rim on the way back. Okay, that kid, I can tell you right now, without watching him play, has a chance to play at another level if X, Y, and Z work. But the decider for me is the kid who walks in the gym and just goes right to the 3-point line. I know he's got nothing going on. He's not. Sometimes the juice not worth the squeeze. You know what I mean? And so you just like, and you know guys like this that they kind of just jack them, and you just go, all right, whatever.
These guys are a dime a dozen. Like we see them all the time. We get video all the time from coaches who want to like sell us those guys, and they're super talented. We need the guys who are going to get down and dirty, the guys who are going to hustle, the guys who will be first at the gym. Practice is at 6:45 for us every morning. These guys are at 6 o'clock putting up shots for a half hour before doing that. I'll as we're talking, I'll give you little anecdotes that happened that I've seen over the last bunch of years. This year, when we with Zevi started at YU, the semester started at a certain time, and we don't deal with the guys until a certain time. But he asked me a couple of days before the semester start, can I get the gym open at 5:30 to put up some shots? Because I want to make sure I'm at davening at a certain time, and I want to put up the shots, work out, do what I have to do, go back, shower, and get to davening. And I was like, okay, we got something here.
A little different cat.
Yeah. You love hearing that. You love getting those phone calls. Like, can I get the gym open on Motzei Shabbos at 11 o'clock? Can I, those things I can build around.
I think my son had the key by the time he was a junior.
I think he was running the security guards like
you think what?
Security guards got tired just opening it for him. Just say, here's the damn key already.
Yeah, he wanted to live in the dorm on top of the gym so he could just go downstairs. Yeah. Everybody was moving off campus, and he's like, "No, I got a gym and a dining room."
Yeah.
What, like, that's all I came here to ball. I mean, I'm here to win. And so he would just have the key, and he just spend his time. And that. So there's I think it's, correct me, Oren, have you seen the Rocky movies?
Yeah.
I think it's
he doesn't
know one I know the best.
I think it's the second Rocky movie where he's waiting for Rocky's in the hospital praying for his wife or something and a baby, and his trainer comes in and says to him, for a 45-minute fight, you have to train for 45,000 minutes. For a 4-year basketball career in college, you have to spend that time for 14 years or 14,000 hours kind of thing. People don't get it. I think they come to college. It's a job in college.
Yeah.
The guys who succeed at it, the guys that you're watching when you go watch them play, they're the guys who spent 45,000 minutes in the gym working on their game, not just playing pickup, but working on their game, fixing their weaknesses. I know I'm not supposed to tell my daughter-in-law, but day before Donnie's wedding, we were in the gym shooting. I think we even shot the day of his wedding, and we weren't going to tell her.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the day before we left, I think we were in Jersey at the time at that point, but we were already, the day before we left, it's your job, it's kind of like your job, and everybody you committed to, this is me as a coach, you made a commitment to a team. I had a kid once, I might have told this story over and stop me if I did, but I had a kid once come to me and say, Coach, I can't come to practice tonight because it was like early September. We were just kind of running. I'll tell you this story, Warren.
Yeah, I remember, but it's still relevant. It's still relevant.
And the kid goes, I can't come to practice because I got homework. I have a test tomorrow, history test tomorrow. And he's now like a rabbi in the yeshiva. If I said his name, everybody would know who he is. And I said, it was a Monday. And I said, well, we had all day yesterday to study. Why didn't you study yesterday? He said, because the Red Sox were in town and I went to the Oriole game. And I'm like, wait, dude, you made a commitment to all these guys. We put you on this team because of the commitment you made to all these kids on your team. And now you're telling me that you'd rather commit to Eddie Murray and Wade Boggs and the Red Sox? Nah, you can't miss practice for that. You're going to be up extra late tonight. Because you prioritized another team over your team, you're going to need a lesson how we run over here. You make a commitment to this team, that's your job, dude. And I think a lot of kids, they come to college and they go, yeah, I'm playing on that team. Yeah, everybody, I have this thing. It's like everybody wants superstar treatment without superstar effort. You only get superstar treatment when you put in superstar effort. We can count on one hand, two hands maybe, how many guys have really come to school in the last 5 years, Yoni, 7 years, that have given up, maybe with a couple toes, but a superstar effort when the lights are off and season's done. And some guys will take a couple weeks, and then some guys you won't see them till September. Yeah. Right or wrong?
No, we've definitely had a share of guys who did that. At YU, it's very unique because you're basically getting the best player of that high school team to come and join with other best players of their high school teams to come to one. And then you have those who are the superstar talents and give the superstar efforts who are well known. Trust me, some of these guys who have sat on the bench more than played were superstars in high school. They were really good. They were really good there. And their talent only took them that level. But it's that extra step. The difference, I'll say it again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I tell it to all the high school kids I talk to. The difference in the highest caliber basketball game that you're playing in high school doesn't even scratch the surface of what's going to look like in D3. If you're going to give the same effort in high school that you're going to give in D3 basketball, you're just not going to make it.
Not going to translate.
And guys think, well, I led my conference in podunk. I was the leading scorer or whatever. That's great. Because the 6'8" guy flying at you in the corner, he ain't from podunk. He was in the gym 2 weeks ago working. What were you doing?
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing to do in sports is to close out. I've said this before. Like ask the New Orleans Saints about that.
Yeah.
The hardest thing to do is the closeout. I mean, Stephon Diggs got a big contract because the guy didn't close out, right?
Yep.
And the Vikings go play, and all he has to do is knock him, tackle him, throw him out of bounds, whatever.
Yep.
And Diggs becomes a millionaire, and nobody even knows the name of the guy who blew the play, right? But that play changes football history in Minnesota, in Buffalo, in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And who knows what other team was affected by that movement. Because it's the hardest thing to do in sports. However, the closeouts on a college level, and by the way, they're quicker in a D1 high major level, and they're quicker in the NBA level. If you can't release your shot, I mean, the NBA, they like to get it. It used to be under 2. I think now it's probably 1.7, under 2 seconds when you catch it. I mean, I like getting kids somewhere between 0.5 and 8.8. That's 1/8 of 10th of a second. Because you don't have the kind of time you have when you're playing against them zones in high school. like corner, and that kid's closed out on him. Like there's no room, and he ends up making the shot. He couldn't have had. His closeout time had to be less than a second.
Yeah.
So forget anything. Forget any other quickness. If you're a shooter in high school and you shoot the ball from the middle of your chest,
yeah,
you're just not making it here.
No.
I don't care how great a shooter you are.
Yep.
You're never getting that thing off. I mean, it's just, the kids who come from over here, and most of the time they do that because they were little kids playing on 10-foot baskets. So they had to generate the power from here, and no one ever moved it here for them. So they ended up being here. Like I just think, fifth graders playing a 10-foot basket is just stupid. It's like stupid. Yeah. These guys hit me up all the time. My kids scored 7 points, and he's shooting at a 10-foot basket. You understand? We're asking Kevin Durant to shoot at the same size basket at 7 feet tall as we are your 4'11" fifth grader. And you want me to be excited about that? Because at some point, as good as your kid is, if he doesn't fix this, where it's coming from, everybody's gonna catch up to him. The little kids who are shooting at 8-foot baskets like this, the right way, they catch up. So it's everybody, there's like this gap that these bigger kids have, or the stronger kids have, and they're great on the JV level, and then they're not as good on the varsity level, right? Or they're great in the biddy level, they're not as good on the JV. Anybody like that, Oren? And they're not as good as the varsity. And then all of a sudden they get to this, the gap's now closed. Like they're not as dominant as they used to be. They didn't necessarily get slower. They just didn't. They walked in the gym and started jacking threes.
Right.
They didn't work on their game.
Right.
While the other kid had to work on his.
Yeah.
What's that?
They were fine with the way they were.
That's right, because the gap.
They didn't want it. They didn't want to evolve at all.
No, everybody was telling them how great they were. You know what I mean? You're in ninth grade. Oh, you'll play it. Why you?
Right.
You know what I mean? I think we know guys like this, Oren. I think we even discussed a few.
We discussed a couple this morning and last night in our.
It's like, I turned them down. What you did? What? Nah. You know what I mean? Like Yoni, how many? Well, I know this from my end, and I know Elliot sends all of them to Ellie and Donnie, but there's just a ton of emails we get with a guy who, this kid's going to be great for your program. I got one today. I can't even make sense of the one I got last night. I saw it at 2 a.m. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm watching. Like, and the guy's swearing how good he's going to make our program.
Yeah.
The coaches tell me how good he's going to make our program, and I'm kind of sitting here going like, dude, have you ever watched us play? Yeah. like you, what? Here's the deal. I think at this point, you got to be special now. There's enough talent around that some guys are actually working to do it. Tell me if I'm wrong here, Yoni. You got to be special. You have to be different. You have to bring something to the table that we A, need, or B, don't have. Because if you're like you say, a dime a dozen, how many do we see every month of the dime a dozen kids in high school?
Well, listen, we're blessed now that we can actually be a little picky with what we want to get. That wasn't always the case. I mean, it took years and years. That type of reputation is like, we're nationally renowned now. Like we're not just a little school in New York City. We on the backs of many guys who put a tremendous amount of effort on the court and made us into a national program. We get the same emails, Coach. We get the same emails of guys with video and the biggest accolades that they're going to be amazing and tremendous ball players, and they hustle and this and that. And you see some film and you're like, are we like looking at the same thing?
Yeah, not only that, but we're getting highlight film.
Yeah,
We watch
yeah. This is
highlight
like
film, and what they don't understand is for a living, we watch film.
yeah,
So we're going to see every flaw in your highlight. If we
yeah,
see you're
You're
here's
going to
the
focus
ticket.
more on the bad than the good.
Well, no, like here's what kids don't get. Like coaches, they'll send you a highlight film, right? And the highlight film will have this kid just busting guys off on a dribble. But what they don't realize is he's busting them in his right hand every single time. And all we ask is why. Like, can we and we know this shot should be taken with your left hand. This drive should be left-handed, but you're forcing yourself over the top. What does that tell you, Yoni? You don't. You just have no intention of going that way.
no, definitely
And-
not. And the film that you watch, and then there's other film that we get outside of what we are sent. You could see who the guys who hustle, who get down the court, who get down and dirty, who pound the glass, who know to defend. By the way, people think that we live and die by the three. Like, no, we live and die by the way we defend, and that creates everything that comes out of that. Like, we have a game this Saturday night. Poppers texted me earlier today. Is the biggest regular season game in YU history. I'm not sure I agree with him so much, but it's Poppers, and Poppers has his own calculations. You never argue with Poppers, but it's gonna every game that we do, it live and dies by the way we defend. Defense travels. We always say that defense travels.
It will always be about stuff. There's nothing there, as I've said every week, and I'll continue to say, basketball is about four things. Oren, do you remember what they are? Oren, have you left the building?
No. So,
Passing, catching, layups, free throws. And above all else, if you can't defend, you cannot play. I don't care who you are. If you don't defend, you can't play. If you don't take pride in stops, we kind of have no time for you. And that's what I think. If we're to check me if I'm wrong here, Yoni, but that's kind of the point. If you're going to come here and not defend, stay home.
You're going to be on the bench. You're going to be on the bench until you decide that you want to defend.
Right. And then and complain about it. I'm not playing. I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that guy. No, that guy gets stops. Like anybody could do what you do. We got a ton of guys here who can score the ball.
Yep.
Guys who get stops, they don't. They like. Are you going to wall up? Are you going to stand up there and take a charge? Are you not wait for the charge to come to you? You're going to go get that charge.
Yeah.
We had guys like Tyler and Donnie and who would, and Mike Hayone even would go get it. We're not messing around. Max currently, like, we're going to get that. If you're, I'm most every team I coach, if you're not going to take a charge, I'm not going to play you. Yeah. I'm not going to do it because our thing is built on that.
Yeah.
It's not going to play you. And I don't care if I have to play in the 40s, but I'm going to get stops. You're going to be in the 30s. You know what I mean? Like that. It's all because defense travels. You could stink on ice. Oren, we talked about this the other day where, my team had that long break and then we defended.
Yeah. So
we were able to compete because we defended until we caught up or until our offense caught up to our break, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Happens
so
that
you guys are playing before. Yeah.
Yeah. You take that 2-3 week break at YU. You have to be ready to deal with, you're going to struggle early. The first 5, 10, 8, 12 minutes until you get your feet under you and you go, oh yeah, right. Basketball. I remember you have to. I remember we played Old Westbury. I believe it was off a break. I may be wrong.
Our first game was Wesleyan after the break.
Yeah, this time. And I thought we played really well. It was a rare thing. We don't always do that, but I think we had an Old Westbury game where we came after the break and it was like we ended up playing them in the playoffs that year, I think.
And this when I was still doing Max Live coach?
Oh, no. And it was not too far after. And we were really worried about how we were going to come out and play. And I think they had maybe 9 points at the 12-minute mark or the 8-minute mark.
Yeah.
they scored 9 points because, and we were actually playing well offensively, but that happened because defense travels. You're dead right. I don't think anybody understands.
Well, we had a game not recently where against St. Joe's, Long Island, where we were garbage in the first half.
Right.
I think we
game on like a 9-0 run.
28% from the field. It was really bad, but you know what? We stuck in the game. I think we were both in the 20s and at the end of the first half. And then, you know, our shots are going to fall. Our guys are talented. They're going to eventually fall. But that game could have gotten out of hand, like 15 to 20 point difference by the halftime if we didn't defend.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're starting to sound like a coach. You know what I mean? Like when you sit on a bench and even when you're an assistant and you're sitting on a bench and you know what you're doing, that's the ticket. You got to know what you're doing. You're getting good shots. That's all you can ask for. We're going to start making shots. Now we just got to get stops. And we'll get a chance because we're going to start making them and they're going to start missing them if we defend a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that 9 times out of 10, that works out to be true. Yeah. Some nights you're just going to get beat. That's just what happens. Like, it's just not your night. Yeah. But when you have a stable of shooters or a stable of guys who make shots and you get them good shots, and that's all what your offense is supposed to do. You know, Pete Newell said, I'm gonna paraphrase it. He said, your offense is defined. Let me paraphrase it. Your offense is defined by the good shots you get, and your defense is defined by getting more good shots than the other guy. Yeah. Right. And so it's not the exact quote, but I'm just telling you that's kind of the idea. I was lucky enough to have long conversations with coaches about this very idea. I mean, the whole point of an offense is to get your players shots they can make. Like, there's certain shots that say, I don't know, you know, I don't want to say any guys from our team, but let's just say, like, there's certain shots that, you know, Gabe Leifer was really good at, that he could make. Those shots are not the same shots that Simcha Halpert was really good at. So what we have to do is find an offense where we can get Gabe Leifer those great shots and Simcha Halpert those great shots. Yeah. And then you got to find an offense that's able to get Ryan Terrell those shots that fit in his wheelhouse, Donnie Katz's shots that hit Philly in his wheelhouse, Bara Aloof shots or Eitan shots or Tyler Hode's shots or Ofek shots. Like, you have to find that, and you have to have the flexibility offensively enough to know, or the willingness. And I think most coaches I've been doing this running this offense for a very long time, and it's morphed into something that I really love right now. Mm-hmm. That's 21st century-ish, and still takes advantage of the same things that took advantage of in the 70s when it was created. And so, but the adjustments were necessary for our guys. They may not be necessary for everybody else, but for our basketball teams, like the Jewish kid, like what we grow up to, right? So the shots available, the opportunities to get to those shots, we don't have that. We may get one kid, like kind of like Max, who just break it down on a dribble, and you know, but as a rule, we're not getting that kid every night. Right. And most of those guys are very ball dominant and don't like giving it up. Yeah. And that's part of and some of those guys can't play for us. That's okay. They're good players. Let them go play someplace else and hope we see them sometime. Yeah. But like the whole philosophy behind it is we got to get those players good shots. Yeah. And those good shots, we got to make sure when this offense is really going well, we're passing up those good ones for great ones.
We always say that to the guys.
And when you go back to Baltimore in 2020, you just pop the film in, and other than late shot clock shots, everyone's a great shot. Yeah. Guys giving up of themselves to get great shots. Yeah. And when you have a team, that's when you know that you're almost at maximum efficiency. When guys understand, I'm going to give up my good one for this great one.
for a better one. Yeah.
Right. And so I think, Yoni, that whole point about kids trying to play for us, it's for YU. That's your point, is the underscore of all the points. In other words, you better have grades, right?
Yep.
Better have grades. You better want to work hard in the classroom, or you're not going to survive.
Not YU.
Right. And because it's a difficult academic institution. You want to say the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, whatever, but they all know how to grade.
Yeah.
And if you don't do your work, you're not getting the grade you think you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get the grades you need, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
I know we've lost players because we've had guys not have to play in a semester because they messed around in the classroom.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't get in the gym, you have no chance. There's none. You have to be a freak talent like Gabriel Leifer.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Terrell, as good as he is, was in the gym all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
The message to high school guys, college guys, wherever you are, is never leave the court thinking that somebody else out hustled you or put more effort than you. You win or lose. Sometimes you have to tip the cap to the next guy because he's just but never let anybody else outwork you, ever.
Fact. How many guys? It's funny because I was just talking to somebody about this today at practice. One of my assistant coaches, he said, he had heard a coach from a school say this. And I said, when I was recruiting in high school, when I was recruiting high school kids, I would always try to be there like a half hour early.
Yeah.
I wanted to see which kids just jump to the 3-point line. Then I wanted to see how they talk to their teammates, how they behave, and then and hopefully I get a blowout. Because if I get a blowout, I get to see them on the bench, winning or losing, how they sit. Do they talk to their coaches? Do they scream at their coaches? Oren, we've talked about this on a different episode.
No, it's about being a good person off the court too.
I mean, that is it. If you're not a good person, we probably don't even want you as good a basketball player as you are. Because we'll take a less talented guy who's willing to do what we do and get him, and it ain't the size of the dog in the fight. You know what I mean? It's the size of the fight in the dog. And I'd rather have a kid who's willing to put the time in and do the work and not read his own headline than have a kid who just thinks he's playing at too low a level, whatever that level is, high school, college, pros. You know what I mean? Who needs that?
Yeah.
I want to see how that kid is.
Well, Coach, I think that's why everyone loves Zevi, because all Zevi does is play and learn. He stays away from social media. You think he reads any YU Max game recap? I highly doubt it.
Well, I think every kid. I personally think, as I've said before, every kid should stay away from social media. I think it's the death of society. It's a quick death of society.
So, or let me. I want to chime in on that because that's a really important piece for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Anyone who comes to the Max post games where, Ryan was around and now Zevi and the other guys also, Gabe and even Matan, the kids run up to them and want to take pictures with them. It's very easy to get into your head right away and say, wow, I am the king of the world right now. And there's no room for me to get bigger and better. I don't know if any of these guys have ever said that. The Max gets loud. It gets really, really loud. And playoffs start next week. I miss that. I really miss that environment where we're in there and from tip off and on, it's going to be a madhouse. And by the way,
and it's Rosh Chodesh next week.
It's Rosh Chodesh Adar next. Yes. So important day to do it. And I urge all Max fans to come out and be loud. But
I got locked out last year. Fun fact.
Oh yeah, did you?
I'm buying tickets. Yeah.
Or that should never happen.
You didn't call the right person.
I'm a Max Live has-been. What can I say?
Yoni Cohen. That's all you needed to do. Yoni Cohen.
Yeah, but it's we feed off the fans. The fans are the ones that energize us like crazy. And I think there was a game this year against Maritime. Was it Maritime where we really didn't play well in the first half? And one of our managers, Joel, went over to his guys. They had like a bunch, like 30 or 40 guys just finished night Seder, and they came into the gym, and he goes to them, guys, you got to get loud in the second half. It was
they brought their own fans.
like, it could be. Oh yeah, that was the game they brought their own fans also, right?
Yeah,
But
I was there.
the gym was the loudest. I heard it, and I'm telling you, that willed us to victory. It was we may not have brought the A game that night, but like we fed off the crowd. So these kids come to all our guys after the game. They take pictures. Like sometimes I have to like wrangle our players into the locker room so we can do our post game thing, so we can get that out of there. And kids want to take pictures and pictures. It can get into the guy's psyche really quick.
Yeah,
it boosts your ego into a place where it's not a good place to be in. You always have to challenge yourself and get better in every aspect of the game.
So would you say that the me is far less important than the we?
We always say we play for letters, not numbers. Right. Always. We need that W. It's all about the W. It doesn't matter, when we were in the 50 game win streak, which like everyone was obsessed about every time in the locker room. It's not about the number. We don't care about that.
Right. I think it started with that team that first got going here, and those guys were really dedicated to. It's all noise. So ignore the noise. You have a job. The guys who did the heavy lifting, the first 29, like ignore the noise. Just let it go.
It's the mental toughness of the game, coach. We one practice like a month ago, you and I had this debate about strong-minded personalities versus babying some of the guys, and you gave me that amazing line, by the way, that I actually printed and posted in my office.
It's awesome.
What was it? Good times create weak men create bad times create strong men create good times.
Right.
And you gotta So, it's one of the debates that you and I have, because my job a little bit is not to baby the guys, but to give them a little more like emotional support when they're, work.
Let's get, Yoni.
I wanted to get to that.
Yeah, let's get into that first, and or make sure we get right back to this. Yoni, like, what's a day like for the player, and where do you, like, when does it start? Just give I guess maybe you did that earlier.
Yeah. We talked about practices like 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. They're supposed to go to davening afterwards, and then to their shir in the morning to do their Judaic studies till about noon. At noon, they break for lunch, have a little break, and then they start their general studies courses, and they finish, some guys finish at 5, some finish at 8, depending on when your classes are. So you're really 8 to 8.
Right. So normal college, like when I went to college, I went to a regular college, and I took, 3 classes on Monday because they were 50 minutes or whatever they were. I would go at 8, I'd be done by 10. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, I'd start at 8, I'd be done by 10. And I just took 15 credits if I wanted. And I'm done in 2 hours of school. Yeah. That's not like that here. So they're in school till 5 or 6, whatever. They got to lift. Off season, in season, they lift. Do they lift in season?
Whatever whatever X tells them to do, they do. So like each one is different.
Right. So your particular job is grades management.
It's not, I wouldn't say grade management so much. Like in this way, we don't baby them. We don't like handhold them into classroom, make sure they sit down over there. Like, they're responsible. We tell them what their obligations are, and they tell you like what they have to do and they can't do. And it's on their own. If they need help sometimes navigating through things, I'll tell them, contact this advisor, go speak to this person. Right. Make sure you communicate with your professors if you're going to miss a game. Don't just think that you could miss a class because you have a game coming up. Like, you got to make up the work. At the end of the day, you are a student athlete. You don't get off from class because you're an athlete. You have to put in that extra effort to keep yourself eligible.
I always say it's the student first, because that's why it's called a student athlete instead of an athlete student.
Perfect.
Always.
You have to prioritize that. So go ahead. So then you were saying the difference between the strong man and the weak man and baby and the guys. Where are you falling on that?
So I know I'm torn a lot, because sometimes the guys are going through a lot. There's a lot going on in their life. Forget about what personal stuff are going on, maybe at home or something happening, but like the course they're doing, work, reports, projects, tests, midterms, finals, and then you gotta go to practice. You have games, and we ask the guys to hit the gym when we don't have practice because we want them to put up shots. So they got to go in, in pairs and go and put up shots. So they're basically in the gym, or they're supposed to be in the gym every day, one way or another, either by practice or just putting up shots. We want them to look at film. The coaches put a tremendous amount of time into scout also. I mean, Coach, your two sons and yourself, you guys are masters in putting together the scout for us. Just today, Ellie sent 30 clips of game action so guys could see, so that takes a lot of time. The coaches put in a tremendous amount of time into educating the students,
not just making things easier for you. Here's where we want to be. Here's what we want to do. Here's what they like to do. Here's what we're taking away. Here's why we're taking this way. That's sort of, in a sense, it goes down to that thing I was saying before about when we get a highlight tape, and what coaches who send it, or parents or players who send it, is they don't realize that if we see something in your highlight tape that we're going to be able to exploit as a coaching staff, as an opponent, we'll ask you for game film if there's something there, and then we'll watch the game film and we'll know right away this kid's hiding this thing because he can't do it.
Right.
So then we'll know, okay, well, he's got to be at this spot. But, now, like you said, we could be a little more picky.
Right. Don't look at what he's doing. Look at what he's not doing.
Yeah, and then you have to put it, like, there's another issue that I think people take for granted and they don't really understand. It's one thing if you are, this is great about Gabe. Like, Gabe basically played in a league where he was the tallest guy almost every night by 3-4 inches. Right? So then he gets to goes Israel, whatever, comes back to college.
Yeah.
And the first time he meets a 6'8", he goes 1 for 17. You remember that night at Farmingdale? I don't even know if you were. I don't even know. It was his first year. It was like,
I remember he had one game that was atrocious that we were like,
1 for 7. It was something like 1 for 17.
Yeah.
It was George just tore him up.
Yeah,
tore him up. And the great part about Gabe Leifer and why I love him and always loved him is he learned from that night. Like, that is not happening to me again. Now, he had other nights where he struggled here or there, but he never what he got away with in high school, he wasn't getting away with. And in the Yeshiva League in particular, you don't really play a ton of size. Maybe there's 1 or 2 guys.
right.
I mean, so the speed and the size of college is a whole nother animal. Yeah, right. So you're now playing against guys who are bigger, stronger, faster. And if you're playing in a Jew league, whether it's in New York, the tri-state area, or you're playing in other Jewish teams in other cities, you know what I mean? Like, or you're playing a schedule where you don't want to challenge your team too much, you're just not preparing your kid.
Yeah.
And I have this thing. I know I probably had something else about like if you're just beating guys off the dribble and you're shooting over a 5'10" white kid and you're 6'4", even if it's a 5'10" black kid and you're 6'4", like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing at 6'5", 6'6"? Are you able to take that guy off the dribble? Are you only shooting pull-ups? Are you able to go to both hands? There's so much more, are you not to play without the ball? Like to us, Yoni, when we watch film, watching a kid, I love seeing kids. This is how rare it is. I love seeing kids who know how to play without the ball. Yeah. I would tell you, maybe we get 2, 3 a year, maybe, who know how to play off the ball.
Simcha Halper was the king of that, by the way.
But he wasn't when he started.
No,
like he was, because he learned this offense.
Yeah.
Like he became, because he was such a great screener.
Yes,
he was such a great cutter. Like he understood his basketball IQ
off the charts.
Off the chart, and it not when he got there. Like, that was a learning curve for Sim, and he will readily admit that. But, like, again, when it kicked in, it really kicked in. And like it was, okay, now we know what we're doing. Now let's see if we can just get pieces to help, right? So the things you could take advantage of on the high school level, you're not going to be able to do that. B, you're not going to play the same competition, so you better be able to shoot over that guy. That was my point about shooting from the middle of your chest, or not being able to get it off quick enough. So you catch too high, then you got to get down. Example, you're playing in a zone league. The Yeshiva League is basically a zone league. And that ball gets kicked to the wing, and that kid has all day to get, unless they're trapping. I mean, he has all day to get it and line it up. Even when you're playing zones in college, which nowadays we just don't see a lot of them. There's some, and some of those guys are really good at it. But because of the 3-point line, I think more teams are playing man to man. So that you don't have that kind of time. You're not in the Yeshiva League.
Right.
Like you're not playing,
And we're now we're done with having soft schedules at YU also. I mean, this year's schedule was brutal. And I think we're going to start building schedules like this going forward.
Yeah,
you want to be respected with the big boys and want to sit in the big boys table. You got to have a big boy schedule.
No question about it. I mean, it was, years ago, I think Owen and I discussed this much earlier podcast, I think. Years ago, Elliot reached out. I don't know, maybe we did. And then Elliot reached out to me and it's kind of like, well, how do we do this?
Years and Medgar Evers are over.
Yeah, you got to get your face kicked in, Elliot.
Yeah, and we did.
You got to be willing to go in there and get your face kicked in. You got to call Williams. You got to call Brandeis. You got to call Amherst. You got to call. Just go down the list. Macon. You just got to call all Hopkins. You got to call all the blue bloods and say, hey, we want to play. And most of them are going to shut the door.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get the guy like at Williams. Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, or Illinois Wesleyan, or those guys who were like, it's been a great relationship.
Well, Wesleyan's kind of like, that kind of happened through social media, I suppose, but like a guy has to be willing to take that on.
Yeah.
I think the first guy who really said yes to us was Williams.
Yeah.
And that relationship's been great. And so then we go, okay, let's get tested. And the crazy thing is, I remember, I think with about 8 minutes to go in the first half, we're down 2018. And then we like start subbing and it just kind of separates. And I remember the coach saying to Elliot after the game, like, your first 6 guys there, boy, that you can play with us. And little did he know that 2 years later, we're going to go up there and kick his face in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I don't think he expected that. We kind of did. And in order to do that, Yoni, it's right to your point. The baby cake schedule is over.
Yeah.
No more cupcakes. It's St. Joe, Connecticut. Come on down.
Yeah.
Let's and that you're going against a national champion basketball coach. He's no joke, and the guy coaching there now is no joke. They are legit. And they are top. Glenn's top of the line stuff, man, and always has been. And I could tell when I watched them play, I knew exactly what they were taking away from Ryan.
Yeah. When
we played him the first time, Ryan called me. He said, Coach, did you see what happened last night? I did. Here's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like they were really smart on Ryan. They made it difficult for Ryan. And in turn, it was difficult. Right now, we won, but it wasn't and we kind of knew okay, this is a little different now.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, it kind of goes back to that Ellie sending clips because I interrupted you on it. This is what happens here on this podcast. Like Ellie sending clips.
Now.
Huh?
I was saying Yoni's an honorary member now, based on that.
Yeah.
I've had many conversations with Coach. I'm used to this.
Sorry about that. No, but like you were saying, Ellie, like both my kids are actually pretty good at it. And I don't think people get how much work goes into it and how at some point you start watching tape on double time.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're looking at. And then you find something and then you watch to confirm what you find.
Yeah.
And most people don't scout that way. We kind of do. And I don't know. I think our record kind of speaks for itself right now, but our way of doing it, was not the way it was done before Ellie got there. And so like our way of doing it we've had some success, I would say.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to get off it. It just, we may streamline it a little bit here or there, but there's no reason. And we want guys who are going to actually study it. Like, we send you this film, you go watch the film. And if you don't want to watch that film, we send you won't be here. Yeah. Like that's your point, Yoni, that there's, we could be much more selective now. Hey, are you going to read the scouting report? Are you going to be sitting pregame on the bench?
The amount of preparation that the coaches do for every game, and we're 15-9. That's 24 games that we played already this year. You have a scout, a printed scout. We have clips that we send. We'll sit with you, answer your calls. Pre-game, we'll sit in the locker room and do it. No matter what, if you as a player don't put the effort back into it, and it's just a one-way street from the coaches down, not from the players up, it's never going to work.
Yeah. Could you talk to that? We've had that experience, I think.
Yeah, no, we've had that experience. We've lost games this year and previous years where our guys just ignored the scout.
And you know it when you watch the game.
And you know it. You watch the film, you're like, we basically wrote on the sheet 100 times, no middle drive, no middle drive, no middle drive, just cut out the entire offense in caps and exclamation points from here until tomorrow. No middle drive. And it's just ignored. Of course you deserve to lose that game.
Yeah. And you deserve not to play, honestly. Yeah. I think sometimes, it goes back to the Jewish thing. The Jews are inherently sympathetic.
It's not. It's a transition from high school. In high school, you were king. And
I get that, but we played upperclassmen there too.
Yeah, that's true. We've had upperclassmen make those mistakes also. I mean, we fall into these traps all the time, but it's dedication to the system. It's the team. It's trusting the guy behind you who's going to be there.
That you hit it right in the head there, Yoni.
Trust.
Like if I'm stepping up for you, you better cover down. Like if I'm a post guy, or I'm somebody in the paint, or I'm guarding the big, and I get off my guy to help your penetration that you blew, you had better cover down to make sure he don't kick somewhere else. Like you don't leave me hanging and then start screaming at me because my guy just got a bucket. The only reason my guy got a bucket is because I had to get off of you because you couldn't handle penetration, which, by the way, was right in the scout. Don't let me get to that end, right?
But that happens with time. Guys playing together for a period of time, that happens with time. But it's also just you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for every game. You got to know the scout. You got to know what the weaknesses and strengths of every guy that you're guarding.
Right, but see, Yoni, I think that's a life thing, but that's not just a basketball thing. Like preparation is the ticket to success. I don't care what your job is, or as somebody's working, you left YU and now you're in a different organization. If you're not prepared, you're stealing money, dude, and you're going to eventually fall behind in your job, and they're going to find somebody else who is prepared.
Yeah.
And so the effort you put in, and that's why I love when I love watching guys who played ball get hired. Like I love guys who hire basketball players simply because they were part of a team. They learned how to be a part of a group, and they won. So they learned how to have success within the group. And those guys, as a barometer for life, I can only talk from my own experience. Usually those things kind of follow you. If you were successful on a college level athletically, and it was the right approach, okay? And it wasn't like, I got to get mines and I'm here for 2 years and I'm going to the league. But if it's really a program that has the right perspective, and I like to think that's what I love about the YU program is the perspective that everybody over there.
Yeah, but I want to take that to the high school level also. And I'll even go back to when I played in high school. The guys who I competed against back in the mid-90s, the guys who like busted it on the court, who were there, who gave of themselves day in and day out, are the guys who are really successful now. Like they're actually doing good things. Because
that's a habit of winning.
That's what it is.
You're creating a habit for success. And that, to me, that's the only reason I coach. The only reason I coach is for habits. create the habits that your players can take off the floor. Because otherwise, what are we doing? Like on a high school level, you're going to get, I mean, the odds on a kid playing college basketball, even at YU, are, I don't want to say they're minuscule at YU because we're a specific small group of people with a small group of people we can access. But the odds of a kid in general going to college to play basketball, say there's 500,000 kids who are playing high school basketball every year. It used to be 1 million. Let's say there's just 500,000.
Yeah.
That 500,000, maybe 14,000 are playing in all 3 divisions in the NCAA, right? And then if you want to take another 5,000 in the NAIA, so maybe it's 20,000 kids. That means there's 480,000 who aren't playing.
Right.
Who are really, some of them are really good players and they're never going to play in college. Right. And I don't think it's 20,000, by the way, but I'm just saying like that.
Oh, but even look at it from this way. We have 3 guys graduating next year. 3 guys. That means that there's probably going to be 3 slots open. Maybe. I mean, so like, even for us, it's, you better show something special. And
yeah, you gotta be different. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't just shoot outside the 3-point line, you said before, and chuck up threes. That's not going to get you playing time.
No, you bet. Anybody watch that? Or you had that game last night, right? Your high school team that you work at?
Yeah.
So this will ring painfully for you. But Pat Riley had a saying that I used to hang in my locker room, and it said, "No rebounds, no rings."
Yeah,
that's what's up.
By the way, that was a great book that just came out about the 90s Knicks. I don't know if you guys read it.
No.
Oh, great book. I don't remember what it's called, but I just finished it like a month ago. I gave it to my son in Israel to read. It's about the Pat Riley Knicks and how he came in and completely transformed that team.
He did, and then they fell back into nothingness after his legacy left. Yeah, but that's it. No rebounds, no rings, and that rings true.
That's what happened last night. Yeah,
I think it was Pat Summit who said, "Offense sells tickets, defense wins games, rebounds win championships."
Yeah,
if you can't rebound, you cannot win. I mean, it's like that thing we went over a few weeks back, like in order for you to lose the rebounding by a substantial margin, you had better do one of 3 things: not turn the ball over, shoot a ridiculous amount of free throws, and make an incredible amount of shots. Like, that's the only chance. If you take care of the basketball, and you're getting smoked on the glass, because the odds are if you get killed on the glass, you're getting killed on the offense. That's why we played a team. My high school team played a team on day was that Monday?
Monday.
I think it was Monday. They're just big, strong, 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". They just pummeled us on the glass. And we have a shot 2 seconds ago to win the game. We had a shot with 9 seconds ago to win it. We missed that. And we got a steal and got a look you only dream of, and we missed that. Happens. But what was it? What was it when we got killed on the glass like that? Now, we rebounded with them for a while, but on offensive glass, so it's one of those things. Is taking care of the basketball and getting good shots and passing the good ones for the great ones.
Yeah. I want to tell you, this year, coming into this year, to talk to that point, we, looking at our roster, we're like, no Gabe, no Jordan, where are we going to get our boards from? Like, Matan is, 6'5", a generous 6'5", 6'6". He's guarding guys who are 6'7", 6'8" every night. And, usually the forwards of other teams are in the, 6'4", 6'5", and our guys are a little small. And they're like, where is it coming from? Like, and we know we have to rebound. We can't be out rebounded by 20 every game and think we're going to win. You have guys like Oren Batesh, who is like 5'9", 5'10", who is consistently getting 6, 7, 8 rebounds a game because he is just busting it down there.
You got to have a want to.
Yeah, you gotta do that, and we have and Max is a beast down there also,
Is Roy, yeah,
and Roy, Roy, so
WM.
the height obviously is important and all that, but like you get your tuchus on that guy and you box him the hell out.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's if like again, if you can't rebound, you can't win.
Yeah,
I mean, we win a couple years back. We beat Purchase in the final, gave us 25 rebounds or something stupid like that. It's just about rebound, and that's really about guys around him boxing guys out so he could have free reign at the rim.
Well, he had mitts for hands also. I mean,
oh yeah, terrific hands, great talent.
Yeah,
So but like kids don't get that.
Yeah,
like that's an offensive rebound with no time on the clock, or
yeah,
and all you have to do is grab the rebound. You're going to second overtime.
Yeah.
So they just kid puts that shot was pure crap off the glass.
Yeah.
And a weak side guy just lets it have. There's no box out. There's no
I rarely see a professional or a college game where the ball hits that area of the hoop and it's an offensive rebound for a putback.
Well, look, here's something. I think I've said it before. This has really turned out to be true, even with the 3-point shot. 75% of all shots go opposite. So the odds that shot was going to go to the other side of the floor were, in other words, he shot it from the left side. The odds of it going to the right side were far greater than it going back to him.
Yeah.
Even at the angle and how bad the shot was. So great rebounders understand that 75% of all shots go opposite. That's what made Dennis Rodman great. You just go watch a film of him, and you'll always see that he always went opposite. And he just was athletic enough to recover if he was wrong. But he was always opposite. He was just these are the little nuances that you hopefully learn in college and kind of pass on, and it doesn't seem to be a thing that's going around, passing on how to rebound.
So coach, let me ask you, I'm very curious to know about this just because, we're involved with the high school world also, but do you see more kids in our Jewish circles across the nation getting into basketball more or choosing other sports or other hobbies?
No, I kind of think I thought this was going to happen, and I kind of think that Yeshiva University is part of the reason why more kids just want to play basketball, because everybody's going to YU. It's like everybody in Division I is going to be a pro.
Yeah,
and that's why you can't get anybody in Division I to run anything but ball screen. I was just talking to a Division I coach today. As a matter of fact, I went to lunch with a former player of mine who was coaching at a school here, a Division I here in Baltimore. And we went to lunch, and it was a few years back, and he said, Coach, we could never run motion at our joint because nobody will do it. So what do you mean? He's like, it's just dribble, ball screen, dribble. And they just won't do it. They just, everybody, come over here and screen for me. And so here, I figured out why. And when I talked to this Division I coach today, he confirmed it for me when I said, every kid who goes D1, and as a guy who used to be who coached in Division I, every kid who goes there, everyone in his neighborhood, everyone in his zip code, everyone in his house, every relative he has, they all think he's going to the league.
Yeah.
Because he got some D1 ride. Everybody. Okay? I don't care if you're going to Carolina or Coastal Carolina. When you get that D1 ride, you're going to the league. That's it. You're the step away from the league. Okay? What's the league doing? The league's doing the most uncreative stuff. They just ball screens, same nonsense, and I know there's
ISO, the whole thing.
It's all that.
Yeah.
So you can't get anybody in the college level to recruit good players because all them players are watching that silliness on TV, or that insomnia curing silliness on TV, and they just, I want to run that too because I'm going to the league and I want to learn how to run it. And what they don't understand is, one, like I know Jack can't say it. Ryan Terrell has had to dummy down his game to play in the G League. Period. Go stand in the corner. Go stand and watch them all morning. Go stand in the corner, Ryan.
Yeah, every time.
He just, his IQ is so much higher than this. But to play in the highest league in the world, you got to
That's what he's being signed, though, right, Coach?
Yeah, that's his job. That's what you told him to do. But he may not say it, but I'm telling you it. I'll speak for him. I mean, I don't want to speak for him. I'll speak about it. Guys who have a understanding of basketball have to really kind of distract yourself from reality.
The NBA is unwatchable today. I'm sorry to say. Like I cannot watch.
I agree with you.
Since,
I agree with you. But you know what? You know what? But I think college is part of college game is becoming that way too, because they're just. It used to be the NBA. Everything in the NBA, for the most part, has been stolen from high school or college. 1-3-1, man-to-man with zone principle. Even the 24-second clock was from clear B. There's no. They may change a nuance here, or they may use different verbiage, like it's the nail instead of midline, but it was midline in the 50s. You know what I mean? Again, the thing that's holding my thing up is all the is holding up my laptop here. But here we go. Clear B, man-to-man defense attack. I can't tell you how much stuff in here is in the NBA. Like everything about it is in the NBA. It's like everything about it. Screen and roll is right here. Ball screen right here. So like this is not new in the NBA.
Right.
And so now what's happened is, because of the money and because of kids don't stay in school very long, instead of it trickling up, if that's such a thing, now the NBA is trickling down to college and high school.
Yeah.
And Yoni, you know this.
It's awful.
Every team we play runs the same stuff. Every single team. Teams are, to be fair, there's some teams that are kind of trying to go to yeshiva route a little bit, and they're putting more movement in their offense, and it's a cool thing to see from my standpoint. If you can't beat them, join them. But everywhere we look, they're all running ball screen. And what's amazing to me is it's a matter of bringing the ball to the action or bringing the action to the ball. I never understood why you'd want to bring another defender. Like I've asked this before in a podcast, Yoni. Can you name, other than a screen pass, any other sport where you bring defense to the ball or to the scoring object, whatever? Anything?
The only one is running a screen in football. That's the only one.
That's it.
That's it.
I can't think of anything. You're always trying, like even when you run the football, you're trying to run away from the defense.
Yeah.
You're creating lanes, right? But the only thing in the world, it is the ball screen, it's the only thing in the world where you bring defense to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And there you can get those same mismatches off ball screens. I'm not adverse to ball screens. Don't get me wrong. Like if our movement gets you in, ball screen it. I mean, you're standing right there. You're going to screen them. Happened tonight at practice, where the ball got swung around and the kid caught it, and we were going to set him a back screen. And once he's there, the guy just goes, I'll set you ball screen. Like I'm standing. That was us bringing the ball to the action, and it happened to be that the action and the ball arrived simultaneously. Well, then just hit the ball screen like that. But as an idea, Yoni, I say this. We went to that tournament. You mentioned that tournament in Baltimore.
Yeah.
We don't get to prepare on Saturday afternoon. So we had to get 2 scouting reports done because we weren't going to know who was going to win. So we had both on paper. We really had one on paper and the other one on WhatsApp.
I remember that.
The one on WhatsApp wins. So now we got to, and here was the saving grace. We had played that team essentially 29 different times that year.
Yeah.
Because they ran the same thing that every single opponent ran. So all we had to deal with was personnel.
Yeah.
Understand, which we had done. But they were running the same thing. For them to prepare for us, they had to get in the lab that afternoon.
Yeah.
Right? They had an afternoon to prepare for us, and 25 points later realized they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That was an incredible Shabbos.
Right. But for it was a great Thursday too, wasn't it? But for the just from preparation standpoint alone, I'm so happy you run ball screen.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about if you had multiple movements.
Yeah.
It's just people don't understand that. And I think when you do so much scout work and watch so much film, you understand, okay, guys, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
And whereas Hopkins didn't see those athletes all year in their league, we get them every night in our league.
Yeah.
That kind of quickness or length, or, like the big long dude, right? Like the Daniels, whatever his name. Like, and we I remember Donnie shot fake some first half, picks up his third foul right quick, right? Like it just little thing. We're used to that.
Maybe he had like 7 blocks against us in the first half, but we didn't care.
Yeah, he did. He also had 3 fouls and he lost the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just have to deal with that. He's a great player.
Yeah.
And he owned us. But you have to be willing to, again, patience, put in the work, be prepared. He's going to do it. So if you don't shot fake him, he's going to get it.
Yeah.
But if you shot fake him, here comes foul number 3. And that's exactly what happened. Slowest dude on the floor sits the most athletic guy on the bench for the rest of the half.
Yeah.
Right. And then he has to look over his shoulder the whole day. That kids don't get that either. Like, they don't understand. The things those are winning things. Those are winning players from winning plays from winning players. That's the sort of thing that kids don't get. That's what you're looking for. Yes.
Yeah. Or we should do a future podcast just on that weekend in Baltimore, and then all the moving parts that happened over that right as COVID broke out.
We could have a podcast or just wait for the Eat Your Hollywood story.
Oh my God! I'm not even sure I can reveal all the things that happened over that weekend, but like that was amazing. Beyond.
They call it the Charm City for a reason, right, Coach?
Yeah, right. I mean, I remember going to shoot around, and I think the NCAA rep is there. The guy from Western Maryland or whatever. He was the same rep we had last year, and because they limit you to an hour, and so they start the clock, and then you only have that hour, and then he goes, "Do you guys know you're the front page of ESPN tonight?" Well, never screw over a team who has an embedded reporter. Like that was the lesson, So it started from there and just kept going.
We had the AP press follow us the entire year. That's a whole other podcast. We don't have enough time for it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we don't. But Yoni, to kind of string it back, like, is there something besides the work that the kid has to do and all that stuff? Is there something that a kid would overlook that you're looking for? Or did we already cover it?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. I love looking at guys who make mistakes and quickly learn from it and don't do it again.
Right.
The mental toughness of the game, I think, is something that's is overlooked, especially in the younger years of your collegiate career.
Right.
And guys will make mistakes. The Ryan Terrells of the world made plenty of mistakes in the first, but they learned from it. Like you mentioned before, Simcha Hopper wasn't the best screener when he got to YU.
Oh, yeah, didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, the guys this year also, like you'll see sometimes Zevi and Max fall into like the high school mode where they just want to go ISO but they're going to learn from it.
Yeah.
And the quicker you learn from it and come to the realization that, your coaches are there for you and they're going to direct you in the right way, because we've been pretty successful over the last, 5, 6, 7 years and we
Yeah.
kind of know what we're doing. And you're not going to get away playing high school basketball on the college level. You're just not.
Does it surprise you? Just jumping on what you said about your success, does it surprise you that people banging on your door telling you what you're supposed to do?
We're Jews. We do that all the time to each other. Like everyone always knows that's what's better for that. Yeah, you have a guy who picked up a basketball court and went to the park and dribbled once. He thinks he knows better than anything else. But Elliot is great at that. I mean, he'll get texts all the time. Thank God I'm spared from it because I'm just the academic liaison. So that's good. But Elliot will get random people just like, oh, why didn't you just do that this game? Why didn't you change that matchup this game? Like, I don't understand what. Like, okay, thank you.
And I hope he blocks them the second he gets those texts.
He is so patient with people. It's unbelievable. I've seen him have conversations with people. And by the way, what makes him a great coach. It's the patience that he has. It's just because we're different. We're different than all the programs. We're not just a program for a city. We're a program for a people.
Right.
For fact, international fact.
So like, you have to like, it's like a completely different level of calmness and patience and whatever you want to use, the word you want to use there, that you have to have because of who we are and the impact we have on people. I
used to get it all the time. I still get it now. Like, do you think y'all should be running something different based on the talent that you have? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's if you truly understand what we're doing, it's the most flexible offense you could possibly play. Whatever you want is here. You just have to have the patience to do it. Okay. So so anybody who thinks that it's a myopic, you cannot, because look, here's what people don't get. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I ever told you this story because I try not to talk about it, but there's a guy I know, Stan. Okay, Stan was coaching California in the early 70s. Okay, and Stan's friends with Pete Newell. Okay, who lives in California. So Stan's going over to Pete's house. Pete's like, I want to show you something. So Coach Newell is to me the greatest basketball mind that ever lived, and he calls him over, and Stan told me he walked in and there were 300 pieces of paper on the floor. And Coach Knight and Coach Newell, Bob Knight and Pete Newell are on the ground, and they're putting these papers together. They've devised an offense based around reverse action that Coach Newell ran, but took some of that ball screen stuff out a little bit. And they had, people don't realize we only run because of kind of the way I see it for our kids. We only run one kind of set of what we do. There's different variations we could do. Like we could play 3 out, 2 in. We could play 4 out, 1 in. We could play 5 out. We could play 2 out, 3 in. Like people don't even get the multiplicity of it. So Stan, he looks around and he says, "What?" I'll clean it up. He goes, "What are you all doing?" He says, "We created an offense." And he just waves his hand at, like, "Come on, Pete." Like, he's like, "No, we created an offense." And Coach Light turns around and says, "You're never going to be able to guard it." So what are you talking about? My teams have led the NCAA in defense. And it's true. He was like, my teams have led our conference in defense and the NCAA. We've been in the top 10 every year for 5 years or whatever it was. He said, "I'm going to tell you why. Because if we don't know where we're going, how in the hell are you going to know where we're going?"
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And Stan told me he didn't sleep for 3 nights. He wouldn't even practice. It bothered him so much that he had what do you mean you don't know where you're going? Like, to him, that's pickup. You understand? Yeah. And Coach Newell's like, "No, this is nothing like pickup. This is a whole nother animal, brother. We have kind of not really rules, but we have things we're good." let's call them rules. We have rules that we got to play within. But, and he's like, I didn't sleep for 3 days. Like, it's my job to stop offenses, and I couldn't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I made him teach it to me. You know what I mean? Like that. So that what he said, and people who kind of think they have an idea of what we're trying to do kind of really do. I think there's just something really cool about being able to accordion your offense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like take the accordion your offense and fold it into what you need. So when guys say like, well, you should kind of have a little of this or a little of that, well, we do have it.
Yeah.
You just may not get to see it because this 85 we put on last night, that should be enough to win a college basketball game.
Yep.
And that's what's up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Am I kind of hit that on the nail?
100%.
So what did we miss, Oren?
I think we covered it all, but as per usual, I always like to give the guest the final word. So, Yoni, by all means.
It's been a great season this year for us.
You can never, and just to interrupt, you can never take for granted the fact that you're tied atop the conference with a largely freshman team.
Yeah, it's starting 4 freshmen basically, and an undersized big. Let's just call it that way. Even though I love Matan and the guy gets down and dirty every night. I mean, I don't think there's a night he comes out without multiple bruises or a cut, and I love that about him. The fact that we are in the position that we are right now with a brutal schedule. You're talking about Tufts, Amherst, Illinois Wesleyan University. Like we played some big time teams this year. And the position we are right now, I am so excited for. Sorry,
St. Joe's, Connecticut.
Oh, right. That was a while back. And by the way, we hung in there for a long time without Matt Zach on that game. He got injured in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Exactly.
You're talking about. I am so excited about the next couple of years that we have with these bunch of guys, and hopefully adding some more talent to the mix. We were all sitting in that locker room in John Hopkins. I mean, Gabe was in tears, Ryan was in tears. We're all in tears because no one wanted to end that way, and we all kind of knew that this is the end of that era, and we didn't know what the next would bring. But for us to emerge from that into this, I think it's special, and I'm really, really excited about the future. And every moment that I have to work with these guys and with Yeshiva and with Coach Steinmetz and Coach Katz, who's always the man behind the scenes over there, is special. I would not give it up for the world. And I even told Josh, who's my boss now at the OU, I'm not giving that up. It's like my outlet. I'm not giving that up. I'll do whatever I want for you at the OU, and I will bust every day, but ain't giving that up.
Yeah. Well, you're good at what you do. And I think through osmosis, you kind of picked up a lot more than people think, right? Like the academic guy, just through osmosis, probably knows more basketball than the guy who's playing basketball and pick up.
Yeah,
played in college, played in high school, every day.
Yeah.
I know I could sit and talk to my wife about basketball. I can't do that with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
And my wife doesn't. She never played. She just knows from hanging around myself and my kids, and we talk ball. So Yoni, I've told this story before. When I was at UNBC, we were playing at Campbell, and drove home. Game was on the radio. It might have been on television, but I think it might have been on Home Team Sports, and which is now Comcast, whatever. So 3 a.m, and I walk in, and my wife was like, "Do they not know that we have a 7'2" center? Do they not know that Pascal plays offense too? Will anybody throw it into the post?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's 3 a.m. Can I just get 2 hours of sleep because we gotta go back on the road in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like I just heard it from that. Like I need you getting on me, but that's my, like, and that's I'm not saying when you're around it,
Yeah.
the osmosis alone, and then you're in every discussion, so you kind of, and I'm sure there's still a lot of questions that you have, so it's just kind of like you do such a great job.
Yeah, no, it's important for everyone to know, and the fans, I think, see it more and more, that it's not just about bringing the talent and keeping them on the court. There's so much around that they have in their personal life, their academic life, and everything like that has to be tended to, especially at yeshiva. And I mean, anyone who ask Elliot how important my role is with the team, not even doing the X's and O's. I don't get involved with the X's and O's.
Rightly so, by the way.
There's sometimes I'll sit on the bench and I'm like, why is Elliot doing this? I don't like it's so obvious to something else, and then that's why he did it. Okay, that makes sense.
Because sometimes I'll watch and go, why is Elliot doing this? And I can't figure it out. So I'm glad you did, and I'll tell him.
No, but that locker room feel, everything is something that's magical, and these guys are great, and I'm blessed. I'm really, really blessed to be a part of that, and it's great. And thank you for having me on your show. This is fantastic.
Yeah, no, the pleasure was all ours. It was a real treat for me to be on with two esteemed gentlemen. I mean, I think our viewers know that I'm a big worshiper of Coach. Obviously, my title on Zoom wouldn't be O-Ring Glickman -- Coach Katz fanboy. And obviously, I have a lot of admiration for Yoni. Our viewers might not even know, but Yoni was part of the group that gave me my real first professional opportunity. So I'm forever thankful to him for that. Special thanks to all our viewers for tuning in. This wraps up for episode 7 of the Harold Katz podcast. Big YU. Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
We get to next week? We're gonna go live here, Oren. We take some phone calls or whatever, some Zoom.
God willing, we're gonna take it to the next level. You have a question for Coach? We'll hopefully put you on the air, and you'll be able to go toe to toe with him, face to face.
We got to make sure that Max Nation comes out in droves next Tuesday night, whether it be in the Max or online or whatever it is. We got to come out like we did last year and 2 years ago. We need to. This is the year. This is a great year for us. It's a great group of guys. They're giving it their all. We need our fans out there.
Yep.
I would just say
start Saturday night. Yeah, go ahead.
Donnie told me that the championship game in his senior year at home was the loudest he had ever heard the building. And they had started to play in front of massive crowds.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those crowds took things for granted. Like they're just winning every night and they're just only scoring 80, so it's a little boring and getting enough dunks tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he was like, that day was the loudest he's ever, had to yell to communicate. That's the kind of thing I believe we are going to play at home on Tuesday, regardless of what happens Saturday night. But
we want the Skyline tourney to run through the MSAC.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Great. Thanks so much to both of you. Always a pleasure. You guys are such good friends. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the viewers. At the end of the day, we do all this for you. Have a great rest of your day. Well, evening right now for us, but day for them, I guess, when they watch tomorrow. And we'll keep you posted on the next episode. Thanks so much, guys.